Welcome to the Dan Casper Show podcast, your chance to catch the full show anytime, anywhere. If you missed it live on the radio, no worries. We've got you covered with all the sports talk, opinions, interviews, and conversations from the show. From the Packers to the Brewers to the biggest stories in sports and around Wisconsin, it's all right here. This is the Dan Casper Show podcast. All right, here we go. Second hour kicks off right now on this Monday morning. Appreciate you hanging out with us and making us a part of your start. Hopefully you had a fantastic weekend and you're ready to hit up a brand new work week here. We spent the first hour talking some Brew Crew. Brewers taking 3 out of 4 against the Dodgers. A well-deserved off day here for the Brewers as they went 17 games in 17 days. So a little bit of a breather before they return home to face the Mariners for a home series starting tomorrow. It is also a VFW Post 305 best and worst from the weekend. So what's the best and what's the worst from the weekend for you? You can let us know via that Shoe Doctor's bullpen line, or you can hang out in the Section 105 chat room. We've got some Express chat coming up in a couple of hours at 9 o'clock. Owner Craig Toyson from the Eau Claire Express will join us to wrap up the Eau Claire Express season, a very successful Express season. So we'll put a bow on that coming up in about 2 hours. We've got Justin with us here for another hour. Let's kick off this hour chatting some Packers as training camp continues to roll right along. And we've got another preseason game coming up at the end of this week where the Packers will take on the Broncos in Denver. Yesterday's practice, Tucker Kraft returned to some team action, 11 on 11s. So progressing, hopefully being ready for week one. That he also did say yesterday that he's hoping not to be on a rep count for week one. He said, quote, "We'll do our job right now. Well, our job right now is to build my rep game, so I'm capable of that when it comes to week one." So, but maybe the quotes from yesterday come from the cornerback room. Keyshawn Nixon. He's not guaranteed a starting spot, a starting role with the Packers. Matt LaFleur and several defensive assistants have reiterated the past few days, according to Rob Domofsky, that it is an open competition at the cornerback spot. LaFleur saying we want to see, obviously, it starts by doing your right assignment, and then it comes down to your style of play. How are you competing? Going after the ball, not only in the pass game, but in the run game as well. Are you sticking your nose in there? And we need corners that are willing and capable tacklers, which I know some Packers fans after that last one kind of like, oh, I wonder who he's kind of maybe referring to at that point in time. But Nixon in the locker room after practice yesterday said, quote, "I guess I'm being punished right now. I guess, I don't know. I don't really worry about what I'm running in camp, ones or twos. I just keep my process and just compete for real. I don't view myself in no competition. I've come here to compete for myself. What they do and what they choose, that's out of my control. I can only control what I can control. I came from the bottom, so I'm here. Year 8, since I've been here, I ain't been off the field. And nothing they've asked me to do, I played at a high level, whether it was getting accolades or anything. However it came, I showed up, so I will always show up." They ain't really told me nothing. Every day I find out a different thing, and I just attack it. I don't care what it is, whether it's me taking reps on special teams, whatever it is, I attack it, though. I'm here. Can't really run me off, so I'm ready to play ball. Those quotes, half the time it sounds like he's trying to be a team player, but then the other half it kind of comes off as like, you know, me sort of thing. It's I don't know how to read those. It's very kind of back and forth type of quotes.
Yeah, it sounds like I'm doing what they asked me to do. It doesn't matter. I'm trying to help the team. But then he also says, like,
I'm here to compete for me. And,
I'm here to
that stuff. Yeah. And they haven't told me anything. And I'm like, I don't know. And here's the thing. I'm glad it's a competition. Because I don't care that Keyshawn made the Pro Bowl last year. We talk about what doesn't mean, accolades don't mean anything anymore. Or we were talking about, pitching wins aren't the be-all, tell-all. Pro Bowls don't mean anything anymore. I'm sorry, they don't. They may mean something for the players, and maybe they get a little extra cash and a little bonus. But those are not good gauges of who were some of the best players in that season. It's not. That's the truth. And the fact that he made a Pro Bowl last year, awesome for him. But that does not mean he was one of the best corners last year. And I'm glad it's competition. I don't think going back to last year, even some of the glimpses we've seen in camp, he's been burned by Matthew Golden a few times. And if he's matched up against a Justin Jefferson or Amon-Ra St. Brown, I don't feel great about that. And if I'm Justin Jefferson and an Amon-Ra St. Brown or a Williams from the Lions, I'm licking my chops because I don't think Keyshawn Nixon is a starting caliber cornerback. And he might be that for Green Bay, but I think that means more for the depth that Green Bay has at that position.
If he's starting it's as a 2. It should not be as the 1. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I mean it's good that it's competition. You brought in St. Juice, you spent a high draft pick on Cisse, and so I'm more than fine letting him compete. And I've heard good things, I believe, about Cisse so far, and I'm okay with him being a 3, Nixon. The Packers, they like their physical quarterbacks, which Nixon doesn't seem to be one. Mm-hmm. Then there was also a few times where he gave up on a play. I remember one in Dallas where he gave up and it turned into a massive pass for the Cowboys. Yep. And then he just has some boneheaded penalties. Mm-hmm. He'll just randomly go and jump on the pile and get 15 yards for unnecessary roughness.
Yep.
I remember that happening twice last year. So I like that it's a competition. I don't know. Hopefully this will humble him a little bit because he always talks like he's one of the best corners in the league. Mm-hmm. And there's a confidence thing, and it's good to be confident, but also know your role, because if they put you up there against Jefferson, I'm sorry, but you will get torched.
And that's the thing is I think as a corner, you have to have a little bit of that confidence, that sway, but you got to back it up, right? I mean, you got to back it up with your play. And he has not done that consistently.
Because Jair had all the confidence and swag in the world, but he backed it up.
Right. Yep.
He held Jefferson one game to 20 yards. Mm-hmm. And then that Dolphins game, that post-game interview was hilarious.
And he waddled off too. Yep. Yeah, that was a Christmas game, I believe.
It was.
Yeah.
It was.
That's the thing is I think you have to have that as a receiver, as a corner, and it probably annoys some people, but as long as you back it up on the field, then I don't care. But if you're going to talk and you're not doing it with your play, because you're right, there was plays last year where it's why did you give up? I think it was throw to the sideline, and Nixon's 5-7 yards behind the guy and just kind of standing there.
Yeah, he just put his head down.
Or there was and then yesterday, I think it was yesterday, again, Golden blew by him, and Nixon had to do a pass interference just to try to catch up. And I'm great for Golden having a good camp again, but I mean, for crying out loud, I think Brandon Cisse, you might as well just lock him in as CB number 1, which, cool, great. At this point in time, Benjamin St. Juice, it's been nothing but positive. If that's the case, I don't care about Keyshawn Nixon's, tenure, how long he's been there. Nothing's given to you. If the top 2 performers in camp have been Cisse and Benjamin St. Juice, those should be your opening week starters then. That's what it should come down to. And I don't know if this is going to cause anything in the locker room. This is going to have to be something then from, the players. I don't know if they still do a leadership council with the players, LaFleur and the GM. But I guess the thing that I think saves Nixon from not being a cut-down day cut is that there is no depth at this position. Otherwise, I think if they invested in bringing in another corner via free agency, maybe another draft pick, I'd say he's on the line to being cut.
Oh, yeah. He'd be on the bubble for sure.
Mm-hmm. But I just and the fact that Valentine is hurt too, I think his spot's probably safe, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's been having a great camp or he's a really good player. And it's been disappointing. And ever since, was it 2 years ago when he said, I don't want to be a returner anymore, I just want to focus on defense. And the Packers gave him that, which, okay, you were an all-pro returner for 2 years, dude. Now you don't want to do it? that to me is another sign of like, are you being a me type of guy and not doing what's best for the team? And I'm sorry, but Green Bay could have really used an all-pro returner last year, not have Josh Jacobs returning kicks in a playoff game because you needed something in there. I don't have good vibes right now with Keyshawn Nixon. And everybody concerned about that cornerback group is probably maybe a little bit more concerned now too because of the depth. And I don't know if there's a possibility that they could find somebody when all these teams cut down their rosters before the season, maybe, but you're one injury away from that group, from your top to being, oh boy, what are we going to do here? And especially with no Micah Parsons the first few weeks of the season and generating a pass rush. I don't want to say the sky is falling, but I almost feel worse about this group going forward, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it doesn't feel great. Luckily, the Packers, at least the first few weeks, are not terrible. I mean, I know the Jets are in there. Yeah, so Vikings week 1, not great, but then you got the Jets, Falcons. So you got a little bit of leeway, but yeah, you just hope Micah can get back maybe by that Cowboys game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, even like with Vikings and Jets, I mean, you are going up against good receivers. A lot's going to depend on the quarterback play, right? Vikings, Kyler Murray. I mean, you got JJ, you got Addison. Jets, you have Wilson, but again, is Geno Smith going to be able to do anything? Falcons, you've got Drake London, but who's going to be the quarterback? Buccaneers, I mean, you still got the Ohio State kid.
Emeka Egbuka.
Thank you, because Evans is in San Francisco. So
Godwin, I believe, is still there too.
Godwin
right?
too. Yep. And then
and Baker's early season is always really good.
Right. And then Bears, Roma Dunze, and Ben Johnson saying he wants to have the highest scoring offense of all time now. So
great.
But I hope, like you said, hopefully this is kind of a humbling thing and a message thing, and maybe it's nothing to do about, but if the guy wants a new contract and the guy wants to be paid like a top corner, dude, you got to do it on the field. It can't just be handed to you. I don't know if he has this mindset sometimes like, well, if I'm number one on the depth chart, I need to be paid like a number one corner. That don't mean that if you're number one on the depth chart that you should be paid like a number one corner. It's all dependent on your play. And you need to seriously ask yourself, have you played like a number one corner? Are you considered a shutdown corner? Because for my opinion, a number one corner is a shutdown corner. And he's not a shutdown corner. And no, he does not deserve to be paid like that.
The only reason, he's got to remember, the only reason he's number one on this depth chart is because Jair Alexander's health went down the toilet, and we didn't have a backup plan.
Yeah.
That's the reason you're number one on the depth chart.
Yep. And you could say that is a fault to Goody and the staff for maybe not investing a little bit more into, and they failed the Nate Hobbs signing last year. That did not work out. That free agent class of Hobbs and Banks, not working out. Hasn't worked out, did not work out, because Banks might not even be a starter for as much as he's getting paid. And I know he's dealing with some tendonitis and such, but still, those two moves now looking good for Goody. But let's talk some more Packers. Tucker Kraft chatted with the media yesterday, too, after he returned to 11 on 11s. And a lot of people in his situation who we all know he's going to get paid. Keyshawn wants to be paid. Tucker's going to get paid. And a lot of people in his position, especially coming off of an ACL, might be sitting out and waiting for a new contract. Tucker was asked about that yesterday, and he gave a response that I think probably more fans are going to love Tucker Kraft for what he had to say yesterday. We'll tell you what he said coming up after these quick words. When your vehicle needs attention, make it easy on yourself. Trust the team at AJM Automotive Services in Eau Claire. With 2 convenient locations, AJM makes taking care of your car, truck, or SUV super simple. Need service? Well, scheduling an appointment is quick and easy. Just visit ajmautomotiveservices.com and book online when it works for you. And if the unexpected does happen and you're stuck on the side of the road, AJM's towing service is there to help get you and your vehicle where you need to go. From routine maintenance to unexpected repairs, AJM Automotive Services is your local partner for honest, dependable auto care. 2 Eau Claire locations, easy online scheduling, trusted service when you need it the most. That's AJM Automotive Services. So Tucker Kraft returned to 11 on 11s. It's the next step in his recovery from a torn ACL last November. Yes, he has been at practice for the last couple of weeks, but these are team drills now. He'd been doing like some position drills and that. So now he's back on 11 on 11 team drills for the first time. And I said after practice, I'm just getting back on the horse now that I've gotten back to team reps as I continue to accumulate reps. I hope I could continue to rise my game as well, take myself to new heights rather than just return to where I was pre-injury. Now, we know Tucker's going to be paid. He's going to be paid quite a bit of money, maybe depending on how it works out, top paid tight end, top 5. I think it's comfortable to say top 5 paid tight end, regardless of all the money, kind of guaranteed total value, whatever. But a lot of people in his position might kind of be holding out until he gets that security, until he gets that contract, especially since he's coming off of an ACL. So he was asked yesterday, you kind of taking a chance by participating in these practices without, this new contract. And, well, he answered by saying, quote, "I'll always put it back on the team. Every one of these guys comes in here to work. This is a violent sport, and we risk life and limb. Guys have to medically retire from this blank." Can't say that word. They're banging heads. They've got messed up necks, backs. How many times can you blow a knee out? Guys, guys keep fighting and clawing to come back into this locker room. And that's the reason I do it. I want to leave a legacy on this sport as a whole. I want my children to see the lengths I would go to fight for something I love. And I think I have it right here in the G, Green Bay. Asked if he considered not participating, he simply said, "It never crossed my mind." So I think Tucker Kraft was already a fan favorite, but I think for a lot of people hearing comments like that and his mindset, he probably endeared himself a little bit more to the fan base.
I just love everything that he said there. I mean, he wants to be here, fights for it, and I just like that. He's like, I've never thought about sitting out. I love that from a player because he's going to get a new contract, and it kind of makes me mad sometimes when some of these players will just whine about the money they're making. I mean, they're making so much more than everybody else is going to see. So the fact that he's out there playing, that's awesome.
And I think, you go back to not last year, but the year before when they lost in the postseason. And, it was after the postseason, Tucker Kraft kind of called out his teammates, and said, we got to wake up. If we want to be great, we got to wake up. And he put it on himself a couple of years ago to kind of stand up and be more of a team leader. And I think this is an example of that. If that goal is, and I'm pretty sure we know this is the goal, but if that goal is to bring back a Lombardi championship, to bring back another Super Bowl championship, and Tucker Kraft wants to be a leader, I think this is an example of him stepping up and being a leader for this team. And I think he realizes, too, just how important he is from an offensive standpoint, performance standpoint, to the overall success of this offense and this team, too. But I think, it's one thing to say that you want to be a leader and you say stuff, but I think we also know, too, it's one thing to actually do what you say, right? Like, it's like actions speak louder than words. And I think this is an action. And I'm comfortable in saying I think a lot of those guys in that locker room are paying attention to, like, man, Tucker Kraft is out here and he's back from an ACL and he's willing to go out there and play for us without that security. I think that speaks volumes for a lot of those teammates in that locker room.
100%. And the fact that he was voted as a team captain last season in it was his third year. Yeah. I think that people are seeing that, and his teammates are seeing him step up, and hearing those words are only going to make them, I think, like him more and, kind of show his leadership even more. So,
and this is something that kind of crossed my mind when I was reading some of these comments yesterday from Tucker Kraft, and I don't know if this, and it probably doesn't, but, you're Goody, okay, and obviously you're in a negotiation with his agent and trying to figure this out, but when you see a player go out there and say that, does that almost, on one hand, it could be like, okay, there's no rush. He's already practicing because if this guy's sitting out, there's maybe a little bit of pressure to kind of get it done before the season starts. But when you hear one of your players taking the high road and kind of saying stuff like that, I don't know. Part of me is almost like, okay, let's not screw around anymore and let's just get this thing done. And I mean, because this is obviously a guy who wants to be here and he's not sitting out when I don't think a lot of people would probably argue with Tucker Kraft if he was sitting out. There'd be some. But I don't think a lot of people are like, yeah, I get it. Big contract, you don't want to get hurt again. But I don't know. Part of me is like, does Goody look at this and be like, okay, this is the kind of guy we want in our locker room. Let's get this thing done. Does that maybe push the needle to get it done quicker? I don't know. It was just something I was kind of pondering. Like from a GM, how do you approach that?
I mean, I would hope so. Yeah. I would want to sign this guy. And the guy wants to play here. It doesn't mean he's necessarily going to take, a sweetheart deal, but he wants to be here. He's a leader for the team. He's a fan favorite. Only 25. I think he'll turn 26 in November. So, yeah, why not try to get that deal done?
Yeah. I mean, Kraft's agent's probably saying, don't be doing this and don't be saying this because, let's get this thing done. I mean, he's looking at it from a business perspective and that, but gosh darn it, when it's like that's the type of mindset I want in a locker room for my players. We just got done talking about Keyshawn Nixon, and he's using the phrases like, I think I'm being punished, and then you got Tucker Kraft, who, look at those two case samples where Keyshawn, yeah, he's out there, but he's like, I want to be paid like a number one corner, blah, blah, blah. Tucker Kraft is going to be paid like a number one tight end and a top tight end. And he's got all the examples or excuses he could use to not be out there in practice. And he's like, no, I'm out here. And this is what we get. Talk about two different examples here.
I want to do this, and maybe I'll do this eventually, but I want to put these two statements side by side, like Kraft's about getting back to 7-on-7 and Keyshawn Nixon. Like, never once does really Kraft say me. He always, he says a lot about the team.
Yeah.
Every one of these guys, it's always we, they, he talks about it very much as like a unison thing instead of like me, myself,
yep,
what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And when he does talk about me, it's like, I want to leave a legacy, or I'll always put it back on the team.
Mm-hmm. You're exactly right. I'm glad you brought that up because, I mean, we were just talking about that with Nixon and kind of like how many times he, said me or talked about himself, and you look at Tucker Kraft's quotes right there, and it all goes down to the team. And, Tucker, I think it might have been after his rookie year, I think when he said, we got to wake up, and he says, I got to be a better leader. I need to step up and be that leader. Not a lot of guys are vocal about, kind of doing that and putting that extra pressure on his shoulders, if you will. And I think the fact that he's still young and the respect that he's probably gaining each week, each day in that locker room, and probably, I mean, everybody saw his rehab and trying to get through it and making sure that he was going to be back on the field. And we saw his loss last year when he was not on the field, just how important he was to the overall offense. So, yeah, I mean, for a younger guy, there's no question that dude's a leader in the locker room and a leader on the field. And gosh darn it, I'm glad 85 is going to be in Green Bay for a few more years.
Oh, yeah.
That's a dude that you want on your team and in your locker room for sure. So, all right, let's take a quick break. Back with plenty more, though, coming up after these quick words. The countdown to fall sports is on, from Friday Night Football, which will have some high school games later on this week, to volleyball, soccer, and cross-country. Athletes across the Chippewa Valley are getting ready to compete, but when injuries happen, getting the right care matters. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine specializes in helping athletes getting back into the game with expert orthopedic care, sports medicine, and treatment that you can trust. Whether you are a weekend warrior or a high school athlete chasing your goals, their team is here to keep you moving. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, your partner in staying active, healthy, and ready for the season ahead. I was looking at if there was still any available corners that have not signed, because now you're kind of starting to see some veterans sign, like Von Miller signing with the Cowboys, which apparently everybody on the mothership is just like singing the praises of this move for the Cowboys. I'm like, Von Miller was available on August 16th, August 17th for a reason. I'm just throwing it out there. Like, he's not the same Von Miller that he was with Denver.
I was going to say, has he done anything really since he left Denver? Even like those last years in Denver?
No, I mean, he signed that deal with Buffalo. He won a Super Bowl with the Rams, but I mean, never since was it an Achilles I think he tore with Buffalo, or was it an ACL? It might have been an ACL. He just hasn't. He was with the Commanders last year, for crying out loud. So, yeah, I mean, but anyways, got Trayvon Diggs, who spent a hot minute with Green Bay last year. Marshawn Lattimore is a name, but he's not the same corner as he used to be. Tre'Davious White, Jeff Okudah is a former first-round pick, but he hasn't been really doing anything. Adoree Jackson's a former first-round pick, but I feel like Green Bay is either going to make a trade before the season starts, or they're going to scour the waiver wire to see if anybody gets released. I think that's probably the path. I really hope Goody does something before the season starts to boost that depth. I think you have to make a move at that cornerback position. Right now there isn't. Okay, would you rather have Trayvon Diggs than Keyshawn Nixon?
I mean, no. That's the problem.
There's not that dude out there that's, because again, we have to remember it's August 17th. A lot of these guys are free agents still for a reason. Like if they were going to be impact players, they'd already be signed. They'd already be with the team. So
I wouldn't be mad though, like trying a Shaq Griffin or Tre'Davious White the rest, like just for the preseason, see what they can do.
Mm-hmm. And that's the thing too, is like if you're going to make a move for somebody who's available right now, wouldn't you want to do it so you can get some reps with them at like preseason games and these training camp practices? That's why I feel like if they continue to not, and it's the same with the running back group. We just assume that are they going to get somebody, they're going to sign somebody. I almost feel like if they were going to do that, they would have done it by now. So are they waiting for roster cut downs or to potentially make a trade? Of the cornerback group and the running back group, which one are you more concerned about with depth?
I'd say cornerback. Mm-hmm. I mean, at least running back, Marshawn Lloyd, knock on wood, has stayed healthy so far. I mean, I guess Jacobs is dealing with a groin injury, but I don't think it's anything too serious. And then you got Chris Brooks, who, he wasn't bad last year, but I'd say still cornerback, mainly because at least you have proven talent in Jacobs. You have somebody who you can pass block in Chris Brooks, and Marshawn Lloyd, I've only heard good things about him. So at least there's proven talent there, at least assumed talent. Whereas the cornerback group, you still, St. Juste is like somewhat proven, but if you're putting like 1-for-1 Jacobs, I'd take Jacobs over like based on position. And then Cisse and Nixon, there's not as much talent there.
And I think you can game plan a little bit better surrounding your running back depth than your cornerback. I mean, if you got a guy that literally just can't cover, it's like, well, then generate a pass rush. But if they're not going to be able to generate a pass rush, because I feel like you could game plan to maybe cover the weakness of running back depth a little bit easier than you can for a defensive side.
Not to mention with the bell cow that Jacobs is, he could just, the entire day he could be taking, 30 snaps. I mean, we saw it in the games that Jordan Love was hurt 2 years ago. Mm-hmm. Whereas you need two corners on the field if you count a nickel three for a majority of the game, I'd say. Mm-hmm. So I feel better about the running back group right now.
Now, if it comes out, because we haven't heard anything, that Jacobs has to serve a suspension or something, does that change? Or is it still cornerback group?
Then I'd say that probably starts to change because, I've heard good things about Marshawn Lloyd. We still haven't really seen him.
Because he's been hurt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him in a full game, and we don't even know if he could stay healthy for 2 games.
Mm-hmm. I mean, the fact that when you're watching the first preseason game and John Kuhn's even saying you're holding your breath every time he touches the football, as a football player, you probably don't want that label. That people are just crossing their fingers and whatever, praying that you don't get hurt every single snap. It usually means that your career hasn't gone off to a really good start. And, and they're familiar with Brooks. He's been in the system the last couple of years. I feel like it might be a little bit easier to plug in a running back if they needed to go find somebody else. Corner is just that one just, I don't like the group. I don't like it. And it makes me really, really nervous so far. So now if they get a pass rush before Micah Parsons comes back, maybe maybe it helps out. You would think it does, but then, you still have to, okay, teams are going to game plan for that. Then they're like, okay, you got a good quick hitters, getting the ball out quicker. I mean, it's cyclical. It's a circle in the NFL. So, but I still feel like a move's going to be had before the season begins, and it's probably going to be after that final preseason game. And really, too, the last few years, since they've kind of altered cutdown days and that, we have seen teams do more trades before cutdown days, where they'll send like a late pick for a player just so that they are able to get the player and not have to wait for waivers and see if they are able to lay a waiver claim on them. So we have seen more trades. I know Green Bay still doesn't have a first-round pick, and that 2027 draft is supposed to be really, really special, but I'm focused on the 2026 Packers, and I hope the Packers are focused on the 2026 Packers and not the 2027 draft class. That's kind of how I view it.
We don't do well with first-round picks anyways.
No.
They develop 3 years down the line, but that's not what you want from a first-round pick.
Mm-hmm. So, a few of you chiming in saying definitely the cornerback group. We've got Zach says they definitely have to get another corner. Nixon is not a number one. There's no depth at the position. Need to at least add one more. They are one injury away from having a major issue at the position. Not trying to be negative about Nixon, but not a lot of confidence in his playmaking ability. For VFW Post 305, at best and worst of the weekend, Bo says the best, Bowers, Henderson, and Ortiz. Worst, Pirates fans, Cubs fans, and Dodgers fans hating on the Brewers. So, all right, continue to send. Did something happen with the Pirates fans, or is it just in general?
I was very confused about that.
Bo, is it just in general because it's Pirates fan? I don't know, but maybe something happened. I know all the talks about Paul Skeens and going shirtless on a beach, but I don't really care about that stuff. So, but everybody's got to run with that because he's Paul Skeens. So, no, I don't. Maybe I missed something. I don't know.
I was very confused when I heard Pirates fans.
Mm-hmm. Cubs fans, I get it. That's just in general, sort of thing. But really quick before we have to take our final break for this for the second hour. Since we were just talking a little bit about baseball, as we enter the final quarter of the regular season, this is where things stack. Chicago's kind of pulling, the White Sox are kind of pulling away with their division. But Tampa Bay, they look like they're in full control of that top spot in the American League. They are the only team that has 70 or more wins. They're 74-49. Then you got the White Sox, 65-58. The Astros, 63-62, just one game above 500, and they're leading their division. The wild card, though, Yankees, they seem to be in full control. Now Boston is in there. And then things get really interesting. Baltimore is holding on to the final wild card spot. They are 2 games under 500. Texas is 3 games under 500. They're just a half game back. Toronto's only a game back. They're 4 under 500. Detroit's only a game back. Minnesota's only 1.5 back. Cleveland, 1.5 back now after being 3-7 in their last 10. You got Seattle, that's 2.5 back. Really, only 3 teams in the American League that are probably out of it. Kansas City, the Athletics, and the Angels are all either 10.5 back, 12 back, or 12.5 back. So the race for the final wild card spot, kind of, or the AL West, I guess, too, you can probably make a case for. Or, yeah. Is it Chicago right now? White Sox? Unless something happens here, but they're kind of on a roll right now. But they got a big series with the Cubbies coming up here, so go White Sox.
Oh, yeah.
National League-wise, definitely a lot tighter. The Brewers at the top, Braves, Dodgers, and then you got the Cubbies on the top wild card spot, Phillies, and then the Padres, who have, we just saw them with the Brewers. They are a much better team than what they were at the beginning half of the season. But you got the Diamondbacks that are just right there. They're just 1 back. The Marlins won't go away. They're 3 games back from a wild card spot, 64-61. Cardinals either. They're not far out either, 63-61, 3.5 back. But then it kind of starts to trail off here. Pittsburgh 6.5, Cincinnati 7, and so on and so on. So Diamondbacks, I think, quietly just kind of creeping along and kind of waiting in the weeds here a little bit. We've focused a lot on the Padres and kind of their turnaround, but Diamondbacks have been consistent there too.
Diamondbacks did that last year too. They sold off like a few pieces and then made a surprising run and I don't. Yeah. They didn't they didn't make the playoffs. I don't think they did. No, but they were close.
Yeah. And again, this is out without Corbin Burns pretty much the last year plus too.
Yeah, so. Yeah, because he's still hurt, isn't he?
Yep.
Because he had a setback with his rehab.
Yep.
I'd like to see him get back to it.
Yeah. All right, let's take our final break as we wrap up the second hour. We'll be right back in just a couple minutes. Looking for your next great night out? We'll make it the VFW Post 305 in Eau Claire with live music, exciting events happening throughout the month, great food, cold drinks, and a fun, welcoming atmosphere. There's always a reason to stop by. Whether you're meeting up with friends or looking for something fun to do, the VFW Post 305 has something for everyone. Be sure to follow the VFW Post 305 on Facebook to stay up to date on all their latest events and entertainment. That's the VFW Post 305, located 1300 Star Avenue in Eau Claire. Bo says Pirates fans were talking trash on a Brewers fan page. I have a rule. Don't go on fan pages. There's too much of that, and I don't. You go on fan pages, you're not gonna have reasonable fans most of the time. Right, I don't like any of them. I don't follow any of them, so I stay out of that. It's a deep, dark place, and you don't need to go down that hole, Bo. You'll feel better about yourself for that. So, hey, speaking of really quick, just a reminder: our Pro Football Weekly Pickup Challenge. You can sign up right now by going to our website, sportstalk1051.com. All you have to do once you get there is click on the image that says "Win Stuff." Right, you might have to scroll down just a little bit. Click on that. And it'll take you to the page where you can enter the Pro Football Challenge, it says. So you click on that, you sign up, and you can start making some weekly picks. At the end of the season, we'll award some prizes, courtesy from Home Oasis and Wisco's here in Wisconsin. So our Pro Football Weekly Pickup Challenge sign-up is up and ready to go. Again, off day today for the Brew Crew, well-deserved off day for the Brewers before they begin a series against the Mariners starting tomorrow. But looking ahead to this final quarter of the regular season for the Brew Crew, besides health and wins, obviously those are probably the most two important things. What is it, Justin, before you head out here, that you're really going to maybe kind of following or keeping a closer eye on in this final quarter? What do you want to really see from the Brewers outside those two things?
I think I want to see the pitching, how that progresses, because, again, I think every pitcher on the Brewers staff, besides now Dustin May, has thrown more innings this year than ever before. So I'm excited to see how pitching goes. And then just watching Miz, Harrison, and Henderson is really fun. Mm-hmm. But then I also just want to see the bats. I want to see if they can, get hot, stay hot, and see how they play over these next few series. I mean, it's see what happens also when Pratt and Frelick kind of come back. It'll be really interesting to see. I'm excited to watch that.
I'm curious to see how both the team and this player perform, or how much the team is going to realize. Christian Yelich. What is Christian Yelich going to do in this final quarter of the regular season? How many opportunities are they going to give him to kind of swing his way out of this, to be, maybe the version of last year where he was kind of the power guy, or the version year prior where he was an all-star, not necessarily a lot of power, but he was getting on base, right? I'm curious, what's the game plan going to be for Christian Yelich in this final quarter of the season? Because, the more some of these guys get back, like a Frelick in that, I mean, you might have to play some of these guys at DH, and I get it. Yelich has the contract and he's the name, but it's a performance-based business, and we're in this final stretch of the regular season with some high hopes. You got to play the hot hand here, and Yelich is not a hot hand, so I'm kind of curious to see how they manage this one with Yelly.
I was going to say, when Frelick does come back, if Yelly, they sit him for disciplinary reasons or whatever, just because performance, who do you want to see from that outfield DH? Trio, maybe? Because I like Mitchell and center the best. I mean, Frelick's a gold glove, and Lara has that gold glove skill set, and we've seen him make some amazing catches recently. So I feel like Chiriot, he's not bad in the field, but he may be the weakest link out there.
And then how much does it go to the bat, though, too? Because Garrett Mitchell hasn't been doing a whole lot from an offensive side of the plate, too. I'm glad we're not making those decisions, because I'd make them too much with the heart, probably. So, but I'd rather be in a position where they've got at least options and not right now where, like in the infield, they're like, hey, can we pick up a healthy body and just plug somebody into that spot? So I'd rather be in that position. But, let's get Cooper Pratt back here. And you feel for a guy like Jet Williams because timing-wise, when you would say, call him up, he's got no, but then he gets hurt or he's dealing with an injury. So he's just been bad luck for him this season, too.
He's also not on the 40-man. They don't want to start his clock until they have to.
Right.
Which makes sense. That's how you operate as a small market team.
Yeah, a lot of fans don't want to accept that, believe that, or even realize it, but that's the case when it comes to a 40-man team.
Yep.
So, but yeah, there's a lot of different storylines we could be kind of following here. You're right, too, with the pitching. A lot of these guys, racking up some of the innings. I know that was kind of a point last year with Mizorowski, already kind of surpassed that. And I like the fact that they're kind of doing a 6-man rotation to wrap this regular season up, trying to keep these guys as fresh as possible. So that they're ready, because once it's the postseason, you don't do that anymore. You just go full bore. Yep. And right now, I like the 4-man rotation with Miz, Logan, Dustin May, and Kyle Harrison. I hope Dustin May continues to pitch at a high level. It wasn't that long ago. It's not like he was bad, but it wasn't that long ago. The Dodgers viewed him as an untouchable prospect. Mm-hmm. So if he can get to a point where he's looking like that, hey, now, let's go.
Yeah, so. Miz, May, and Henderson and Harrison. I love it.
I do too. And then, if a Drone goes back to the bullpen, I think that boosts your bullpen just adding him. Because he was fantastic coming out of the pen. And was it the month of May when he was coming out of there?
Very early in the season.
Yeah. So, he was awesome. So it just boosts your bullpen in that aspect too. So, main thing, stay healthy. Stay healthy, everybody, or get healthy for a lot of these guys. Please get healthy.
I will add a thing that I'm looking forward to, like a specific answer. I'll change it up. We'll go Mitchell's bat.
Yeah.
See if he can get it going again. Because when he's hot, he's hot.
And the thing is, too, if it doesn't, and then you got Frelick coming up, do you put Lara back at center field and try Frelick again? And I don't know. I don't know how they'd go about that. Or do they go through a rotation again, which they were kind of doing when Lara was first called up, but then Frelick had the shoulder injury. So,
or do you put Trio in center maybe and have Frelick in left? I like Trio, but I don't really like him in center.
I don't know. Frelick's arm strength and right to gun those guys. But if he's dealing with a shoulder, that might be the other part, too, where you don't want him in right. Because he's going to try gunning them out. He ain't going to hold back.
Yeah.
He's not that type of player. So, all right. Shot clock is going to cut us off. Thanks, Justin. Have a good rest of your week. And, next week, hopefully we're talking more positive stuff about the Brew Crew. So, looking forward to that. We are halfway through. A reminder, coming up in about an hour, we'll talk some more baseball. Eau Claire Express version. Craig Toyson will be joining us to put a bow on the Express season. Got some news updates. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.